Emma, hi, nice to meet you. Your son from Nexus. Really appreciate you seeing me today. Come to show you our new amazing handwriting program. First thing I'd like to show you is our giant pegs. These were designed by Dr. Angela Webb, psychologist, chair of the National Handwriting Association, and she's been working on this for about 30 years. And it's been an amazing development for improving how children hold their pen and pencil and learn how to form all the letters, line their letters, spacing their letters, and basically learn to actually write from reception class upwards. So have a try this peg. Please just push it into the board. What you do is use 2 fingers and a thumb, and this action is the start and strengthening for the children's hands for learning to hold their pen or pencil properly. The first work card that comes with this board is actually this card here. And when you first learn to write, where do you start? What you do is you start at the top of the page and you work down. So the very first exercise here is asking the children to select the coloured pegs that are on this board and place them onto this board. So if I had that in front of a child, first of all you've got with a child is to determine if they're left or right-handed. It's very important to promote a more dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so the pegs are to the left. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the colour, which I would put this peg over here. I'd select with my left hand, moving it over to my right hand, and then I place the peg at the top of the board. So when you learn to write, as I said, you start at the top of the page and work down. So you keep following that process. And although children are very keen to use lots of keyboards these days, in fact, case studies have proved, and I've got all this documentation for you, that by actually writing, you're stimulating a greater part of your brain, and it actually enables you to learn things better and remember what you've done. So what we've got to do here is not only just teach children how to hold their pen or pencil properly, which we've had this program for a while. What is new in our program now is actually we have pegs to paper. So this actually is a whole series of work cards, which we have here up to, so it's 24 work cards with a dot sheet and a spare letter body sheet, which I'll show you later and I'll explain why. So what you've got here is, as I've just showing you the child, this child has gone into a further card, and the cards get progressively more difficult. So that this child here is actually doing card 3. And this program is a step-by-step guide for every single teacher to follow. What it has is over an hour's worth of training videos and teacher support work cards. These aren't for children, they're for teachers, and they're a guide which they need to follow. And each of these are very, very clearly numbered. So this is the introductory sheet. What you'll also have in the pack is the statement from Dr. Angela Webb in the videos, exactly how this program works. And what this program does is actually remind teachers to, when they're working with the children, to get the child to listen, to do, for the teacher to say, and for the child to, after they've done the work, to withdraw. And we have all the products to teach them physically with hands-on boards here, right through to all the different markers, whiteboard markers, all triangular, and handwriting pens. So if you remember the preview video I showed you when I came to the school, all those videos, 8 videos in total, will teach every teacher in the school, even TAs, actually how to follow this program. So let's cut through to halfway through here to number 6. What you see here actually is one of the exercises where children are actually having to form their letters, and at the back of the program, in this one here, we have got a photocopyable sheet which actually is really useful for teachers to use. Now, what you need to do is, when the children first come to reception, is to record their writing, the quality of their writing. But what this program is doing is it's helping them with their spacing, with their alignment, forming their letters, and it's all the structure that goes into actually writing. We have actually produced, earlier than this, the pattern making and repetition, which is actually this program here, which is all part of the program further on. Not the pegs to paper, this is our actual, I just run through this, program using our boards and for children to copy these patterns using the various products. So first of all, the program, what it does is it teaches children actually how to construct all their letters, spacing and alignment, basically, and many other topics. In fact, if I look at this here for you, are you understanding me all right? Brilliant, okay. So what we're doing here, the contents here is shape, understanding drawing vertical lines, understanding drawing horizontal lines, practicing vertical lines, practicing horizontal lines, closing lines to make shapes, circles, diagonals, diagonal crosses, size and position, letter bodies, ascending and descending, spacing, spatial awareness, horizontal spacing, spaces between words, vertical horizontal alignment, page layout, and exercises for consistent slant. So it's really very, very comprehensive. And every child, when they come in at 5, if they follow this program, I promise you, your school, quality of handwriting will have improved even in 1 term. And it's really very, very clear for you to follow. Is that nice? Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just show you some of the products here. So we've got the Giant Pegs. These are also a fantastic maths resource because you've actually got a 100 square board. So I'm sure you understand about number bonds, but if I take, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green and 4 yellow and put those together, you can see 10. It's really good for pattern making because if you're asking children to actually do patterns, it's right under my nose, you can start a pattern off and ask children to copy the pattern, and it's a really nice exercise. And then whatever activity the child's doing, they're pushing the pegs in and strengthening their hands. So that's the Giant Peg board. As I said, there's more on that. What actually is important for boys is encouraging them to get hands-on, and this is a really good activity for boys. So what we've got here, everything you're doing on the Giant Peg board can be reproduced on the Lincoln Lace board, and this is a good hand-eye coordination to put the laces through the pen. And then whatever pattern, say it's this pattern here you're asking children to reproduce, they can actually do that pattern onto this board. So very, very neat, and it's reinforcing the triangular grip. Now you've got different lengths of laces. There's a ½ metre, this is a full metre one. So you've got quite a bit spare here, but it's depending on what activity you're doing, it's nice to have extra long laces. And the lovely thing about this is this pulls out and you can start all over again. Very high quality lace, really good triangular grip. And it's a great activity because children are copying the work cards or copying the pattern cards. And the pattern cards we have here are all in this pack. And so if I take the first pattern card here, this one here, for example, what children are actually doing is they are producing a pattern. One of the patterns that I use my left hand, moving to the right. So as you can see here, this process. And I'm just following. These patterns have arrows to give direction for the children, and moving it over. And this pattern then continues. In fact, the pattern, I made a mistake myself, but just shows you, even the best of us make mistakes. So if I just complete this here, this is the pattern I'm reproducing. This same pattern can be reproduced onto the Lincoln Lace boards, as illustrated underneath here. So put this pattern into here, and this pattern can be reproduced. And this pattern actually goes up and down. It's one of the first patterns to learn for forming letters. So all of this is repetition all the time. And then we actually have a chalkboard. And you may think, why would you want a chalkboard? Well, the reason being is whiteboards, which are very popular now, don't give any resistance on the page. And this is also triangular. So children can actually reproduce what they're doing on all of these mediums, which is really good. Do you see that? And the next thing is we have cloths to clean. And then the other important thing is here we have the blank cards, because in the program it explains, that's my blank card now, but it was here. But pretend this is a blank card, this one here. And we'll turn it the other way up. If I take a red whiteboard pen, the children can actually, that's black, just testing. And as you can see here, we have a red triangular whiteboard pen. We're the first company ever to introduce triangular whiteboard pens for children. And the pattern, say this is a blank card, the first card, which was 10 red pegs down the left-hand side of the board. So along with these patterns actually what children have to learn is circles. So let's start at the top and circle around, start at the top and circle around. So everything they would be doing on the pegboards are reproduced on here. You can also do the pattern that we've got. And then we also have a DOTS font. So in all these resources, you'll be able to print off the these dot fonts. We give blank versions of them. So what you can do is just reproduce everything onto here. So if I show you the DOTS fonts which are in here, just bear with me. Clearly I haven't prepared this earlier, so it's always a challenge when you're in a hurry. So what we have here, for example, is this sheet which you can copy off, and then you can use a water-based marker, which we have here, for example, and if this was printed onto paper, we would be able to write onto the paper and copy the patterns. So everything is laid out very clearly, and the key here is to actually copy the actual fonts that we have. So this is one of the packs. So this is Peg to Paper. That comes with all the training videos. Peg to Pen is covered in the videos, and here's all the work cards, the one I was working with earlier out of my book. That all goes with there. And then what we have now are all of those work cards, but at the back of there, let's keep those instructions out, we have got a photocopiable set of sheets in here, which in the videos you'll see that this has been printed off, and children are using our pens and pencils, triangular, to continue these patterns. So this is all the patterns that in the Peg to Pen system that we have. And then what we've got here is some the fonts done with capitals, sort of our dot font. What it's nice about when you print these off is it gives a bit more structure for children forming their letters, because what you need, which is in the national curriculum, which says children need to know how to form their letters, and that font certainly helps you. And then what Angela's done is she's done her own font, which is photocopyable for you, and this is really nice for the children, so you can actually start to continue on the letter. Now, a lot of schools have their own fonts, so we just have these as a suggestion. You don't have to use them, they're just in the packs. What I haven't shown you today is that although we have the Lincoln Lace and the chalkboards and the pegboards, we also have this newer board we've introduced, and the reason behind this is it enables you to find the middle. Now, this also has instructions to it, but what's really nice here for a child is you'd ask them to put the peg in the middle. You can't put a peg in the middle of this board because there's no space, because it's an even board and you need an odd board for this to work. So you'd ask the child to put in the middle, you can ask them at the top, the bottom, the right, to the left. Some great directions in this. And when the children have reproduced this, I need a blue peg in there. Let's take orange one, in fact, take the orange out. When you've got matching, and you'll see these in the videos. In fact, I've just missed that, haven't I? So we need that out. As you see here, you've got symmetry. So when children are working with this program, that's the other peg. Now on the floor, but there you are. But there's a whole sequence of work cards for this, as you can see here, with instructions to follow. So you've got an entire program leading then into our handwriting products, which is our pens and pencils, which we start with a triangular HB pencil. We reduce the diameter of the lead so that it's not so fat when the children write with it. I think I had some paper here as well earlier. So we have this pencil. We then lead on to our really nice natural writer. This has a non-slip coating, it's a matte coating. And these pencils are really nice to write with, and they've got treated slats, centralised lead, so when you sharpen they cut beautifully. You get no wastage with these at all. And they continue this triangular theme. We then have We then brought out this pen many years ago, but Dr. Andrew Webb said it would be really good to create it as my first handwriter. So we have this pen for young children. This is a blue ink which dries very quickly. There is black available, but we recommend the blue because it's really good for left-handers, no smudging. And then children need to know not to press too hard with their pens. If they press too hard, put them back into the pencil until they're ready for the pen. And they have to, a lot of schools have pen licenses. So we have progression from reception year 1, 2, 3, depending on the school, and you can stay year 1, year 2 for the fibre tips. And then we have this amazing rollerball